Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Mr. Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, made some statements and very important statements, and I would like to read this article for you and then talk about how he reached those conclusions that he turn them into statements for all of us to hear. So, this article comes from Ukrainska Pravda from today, July 13th, 2022. This is what Zelensky said. Ukraine only Russia's first target, other countries still to come. Alright, so let's see what we can expect. When someone makes a claim, he's gonna provide evidence, facts, make correlations, make connections, and show a pattern. Get the evidence in an objective way, right? Analyze them, and so on. So let's see. Volodymyr Zelensky, president of Ukraine, has claimed that Russia has deported 2 million people from Ukraine and that is part of its tactics. And then he says that Zelensky claimed that Ukraine became Russia's first target. Russia is now planning, so it plans, to invade other countries of Europe and Asia. Such is its strategy and its tactic is terror. So he says that Russia is planning. So if he's planning, you must know the plan. And if you know the plan, you're gonna tell us the plan here, since you got it, you got in its possession. Then you say that plans to invade other countries of Europe and Asia, and you got the plan, then you gotta tell us exactly what countries, because you got the plan. And then he says, such is its strategy. Okay, I would like to hear what the strategy is, what the technique is. And then he gives the answer. And its tactic is terror. So the tactic is terror. Okay, so there's a tactic. Terror is tactic. All right, let's see what the guy says. And he's going to tell us. He says Russia's tactic has various steps. Very analytical and nice so far. 1. Artillery holds whole cities hostage. 2nd, missile terror to drive people out of the cities. 3. Deportation. 4. Economic shock as a result of Russia's blockade of Ukrainian ports and the energy crisis. And 5. Propaganda. Okay, well, don't every war fall under this kind of tactics? First, you shoot with artillery, destroy their defense systems, right? Then the cities are held hostage. I don't know how, but if your army runs like cowards within the city limits, yes, they will be encircled and they will say, okay, you surrender, lay down your arms, and you get out. If you don't want to do that, what's the option? Just go home and drink some vodka and dance on Katyusha? No. So, I don't see anything absurd in this one. 3. Deportation. Deportation is because why? They take the population and they relocate it in their territory, the population that hates them, that will later create problems. Is that a logic? Or, in your assumption, this is Stalin's and Kaganovich's and Beria's and others' times, and they will build gulags, correct? Is that what you imply? Okay, deportation is that people who are just because of the war, hostilities, are refugees. Is that what you mean? All right, and then economic shock as a result of Russia's blockade of Ukrainian ports and the energy crisis. Well, here is a long talk for you, Zelensky. Economic shock as a result of Russia's blockade. Well, you mind your ports. They mine them, and the corridor is on its way. 2nd, the energy crisis. There's no energy crisis created by Russia. It's created by your sponsors' sanctions. If they hadn't sanctioned Russia, you would have energy. Everybody would have the same amount of energy. But they create a problem by sanctioning Russia. Okay, let's go next one. 5, propaganda. I don't think I have to say anything about propaganda, because propaganda is in time of peace and is in time of war. Just turn off your TV and watch your regular news. So I don't know what this is out of normality in any conflict, military conflict between two countries, but nevertheless, okay, let's say this is the tactic. All right, that's the basic tactic. Okay, this is how to say 101 military tactics. Let's go move on. The third step is deportation. Just imagine this number, 2 million people. I don't think it's 2 million, I think it's 2,135,329. How did you get to 2 million? The way you got to other number that is not, you can't dispute that number. You can't even increase it. So you can't say, oh, it's more than 2 million, it's 5 million. In this case, you know what I mean, right? You can't increase that number. God forbid you try to decrease it. The same here. How do you get to 2 million? Anyway, this is the number of our people who have already been deported to Russia. Why? Are there work camps? Is that what you imply? Is Stalin there? Yes, he is. Okay. There are hundreds of deported children and nobody knows the exact numbers. Maybe they were taken out of the war because you guys put your army in the cities. It could be, I don't know, I'm just saying. I'm not placing all the blame on Ukraine, don't get me wrong. I'm placing actually the blame not on Ukraine. The blame is outside of Ukraine. Ukraine is just used, and not in Ukraine, and these guys who are in charge of Ukraine are used by those guys who got all this thing to this point. And that is, the goal is not Ukraine. The goal is Russia. Russia is the main prize here. So you put one, connect the dots. All deported people are stripped of their means of communication, their documents. They are intimidated and taken to a remote area of Russia, so it will be harder for them to return to back to their motherland. Okay, well, what do you expect? You have a lot of people who surrender, a lot of people who go places. What do you do? Remember, this guy is just, remember the Second World War. Let's put this one. Do you remember how Heinrich Himmler, the former chief of SS, was captured? Do you know how he was captured? By a filtration camp. By a filtration camp. What does that mean? These guys are put together in a camp because you can't just let them run around. You don't know who's a soldier, who's a criminal, who was this, who's that. And then you interrogate them, you talk to them and say who's who, what's what, and you figure out, and then you release them after a while. If they're still alive, if you feed them, like the Americans fed them, correct? Yeah. German prisoners of war. So anyway, a little bit of history would help in this kind of thing. So yeah. That's basic, as I said, and as the Americans did that, everybody does that. Well, you want to leave people come on your territory, or pass behind your lines without knowing who's who, what's what? I wouldn't. I have to know who's who, what's what. So then I'm trying to find here where are the countries? What are the countries this guy is he talking about? Because remember at the beginning he said that he's got, now the Russians are planning, so he knows the plans, otherwise he wouldn't say they're planning, so he has information. And then other countries of Europe and Asia. If you make a claim, you should be able to name those countries of Europe and Asia and why and how, but he doesn't. And then the strategy, he told us the strategy, which is basic war tactic. And he didn't mention many other things that happen in wars either. And his tactic is terror. That's how war is run if you go and figure things out. I will try to terrorize you, so you just lay down your arms and I take your country. That's how it goes. It's not Russia who invented this. But he addresses to people with 86 IQ or and below, baboons. So he doesn't expect to be asked questions, obviously. So he didn't provide the tactic, which is basic war. He didn't provide, you know, what countries would plan to invade, and what's the plan. What's the exact plan? He just told me the how should I call it, the tactic, regular warfare behavior. So this guy is just talking smack. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.